gentle painter. Let me tell you about a man who learned to be quiet. His name was Bob Ross. You might know him from television. The soft voice, the careful brush strokes, the trees he called happy. But that gentleness didn't come naturally. It was a choice he made. And like everything else in his life, it came from practice. Bob was born in Florida in 1942. His father worked as a carpenter. His mother worked service jobs. They were working people, modest people, and Bob grew up understanding what it meant to earn your way. He left school in 9th grade. He worked carpentry jobs. He learned early that if you wanted something, you found a way to make it happen. When he was 19, he enlisted in the Air Force. That decision would shape the next 20 years of his life. The military sent him to Alaska, to Eielson Air Force Base, where winters were long and the landscape stretched out in ways he'd never seen in Florida. Mountains, forests, lakes that reflected the sky like mirrors. His job wasn't about beauty, though. His job was discipline. He became a master sergeant. That meant he was the one who enforced the rules, the one who made people scrub the latrines, the one who screamed when someone was late. He had to be loud, demanding, harsh when necessary. He did this for 20 years, and he hated it. But Alaska gave him something else. During his lunch breaks, during those brief windows between duty and duty, Bob would paint. He painted on gold mining pans, the kind tourists bought as souvenirs, small circular canvases, quick studies of the landscape around him, mountains, trees, the light on snow. He taught himself to work fast, 30 minutes, maybe less, just enough time to finish before he had to get back to work. He sold these paintings, at first just a little money on the side, then more, then enough that he realized something important. He could do this for a living. Bob had tried art classes before, programs through the military, classes at the USO, but he kept running into the same problem. Teachers who wouldn't show him the actual steps, who talked about theory but wouldn't demonstrate the practical work of putting paint on canvas. Then he found a television show. Bill Alexander, a German-born painter with a thick accent, and a show on PBS called The Magic of Oil Painting. Alexander taught something called the wet-on-wet method, alla prima in Italian. It meant you worked fast. You put wet paint directly onto other wet paint. You blended on the canvas. You finished in one sitting. Bob watched. He learned. He found Alexander's address and took a class with him in person. After that class, Bob said, everything clicked. The method was perfect for what he needed: speed, clarity, results you could see in minutes, not days. He practiced constantly. Mountains, lakes, cabins tucked into forests. The same subjects over and over, learning the patterns, understanding how the paint moved under his brush. By the time he left the Air Force in 1981, Bob had a plan. He would never yell again. He would never raise his voice. He'd spent 20 years being the man who had to shout, and he was done with it. From now on, he would be gentle. He moved to Florida and started teaching. Small workshops, traveling art schools. He'd demonstrate a painting in front of a group, talking them through each step. Sky first, then distant mountains, then the middle ground, then the foreground, then details. Always the same order, always clear, always showing exactly what he was doing with his hands while he explained it with his voice. He remembered what it was like to be a student wanting concrete answers, so he gave concrete answers. People responded. They liked the clarity. They liked that he didn't make them feel stupid. They liked that he showed them how to do something real, something they could finish in an afternoon. In 1983, he started filming The Joy of Painting for PBS. The format was simple: 1 half-hour episode, one painting, Bob talking quietly while he worked. Each season had 13 episodes. Bob would film an entire season in just a few days. 3 paintings for every episode he taped, 1 for reference, 1 on camera, 1 more detailed version for instruction books. He'd arrive at the studio on Sunday evening, give himself time to set up, time to be alone with the space before filming began. Before each episode, he prepared his canvas with a thin coat of liquid white. This let him blend colors quickly, pulling mountains out of sky, adding trees with a few decisive strokes. He kept a reference painting just off camera. He'd glance at it between brushstrokes, checking his progress, making sure the on-air painting matched what he'd planned. The crew gave him time cues with cards. He'd see them from the corner of his eye and adjust his pace. If the painting was simple and he finished with time to spare, he'd talk more, tell stories, show clips of animals, fill the space with calm conversation. If the painting was complex, he'd prepare some of the early layers before filming and explain what he'd done at the start of the show. 30 minutes. That was the frame. Everything had to fit inside it. It was discipline, of course. A different kind than the military, but discipline all the same. Bob knew how to organize, how to plan, how to execute the same task consistently over and over without the quality slipping. He'd learned that in the Air Force. Now he used it for something quieter. People noticed certain phrases: happy little trees, happy little clouds, happy little accidents. The word little appeared constantly. Trees were little, clouds were little, mistakes were little. Everything could be small, manageable. Nothing had to be overwhelming. Bill Alexander had used the phrase happy little trees on his own show. Bob adopted it, made it his own, expanded it into a whole vocabulary of gentleness. The trees weren't just trees, they were friends, companions, each one living in its own spot, each one welcome. If you made a mistake, that wasn't a problem, that was a happy accident. You could turn it into a bush, a rock, a shadow. Nothing was wasted, nothing was wrong. You just adapted. This wasn't mysticism, it was technique. Bob had spent years learning to work fast and adjust mid-painting. When something went wrong, you had two choices: start over or make it work. Starting over took time. Making it work took imagination. He chose imagination. Over 31 seasons and hundreds of episodes, that choice became a philosophy. Mistakes were opportunities. Accidents were invitations. It was practical advice. But people heard more in it. They heard permission to be imperfect, permission to try, permission to let things unfold without knowing the outcome in advance. Bob believed anyone could paint. Not just talented people, not just artists, anyone. You didn't need a gift, you needed instruction and encouragement, so he gave both. He showed every stroke, he explained every color. He never assumed you already knew. He never criticized, never sighed at errors, never made anyone feel foolish. Instead, he reminded you, this is your world. You can put a tree anywhere you want. You can change the colors. You can add a mountain or take one away. You're in control here. You make the choices. The show was cheap to produce. One host, one canvas, one camera angle, no special effects. Public television could afford it. Stations could rerun it forever. The content didn't age. Bob didn't use a teleprompter. He just talked. The words came naturally because he'd taught this way hundreds of times before. His voice stayed steady, calm, almost a whisper sometimes. People began to notice something. Watching the show made them feel better. It wasn't just about learning to paint. It was about spending 30 minutes in a space where nothing was urgent, where mistakes were fine, where someone spoke kindly and expected nothing from you. Therapists and psychologists would later describe the show's effects: stress reduction, present moment awareness, a model of self-compassion. Bob probably didn't think in those terms, he just painted, and while he painted, he talked about what he was doing, but the effect was real. He gave people permission to rest, to try, to sit quietly with a canvas and see what happened. For many viewers, that was enough. Bob's paintings almost never included people: mountains, forests, streams, lakes, cabins sometimes, but empty ones, nature without us in it. He spoke about nature with reverence, the majesty of mountains, the power of weather, the way light moved through trees. In his view, nature was a system that worked, flawless, or nearly so, a place of refuge. He encouraged people to take walks, to imagine themselves inside the painting, to feel small in a good way, humbled by something larger and more enduring. Bob also rescued animals, squirrels mostly, sometimes armadillos, injured creatures he'd find and rehabilitate. His most famous companion was a squirrel named Peapod. Peapod appeared in several episodes, perched on Bob's shoulder or hand, calm and trusting. Bob fed fish at a nearby lake. He paid attention to birds. He treated animals as individuals, the same way he treated trees. People saw this. It wasn't performance. It was how he lived. The kindness extended in all directions, toward viewers, toward creatures, toward the landscape itself. Bob's life wasn't easy. He left school young. He worked hard jobs. He spent 20 years in a role that required him to be someone he didn't want to be. He went through a divorce. He lost his second wife, Jane, to illness. That grief marked him deeply. Later, he faced his own health problems. Details stayed private, but he kept filming, kept teaching, kept speaking calmly even when things weren't calm. The business side brought complications too. Bob Ross Incorporated, the company that managed his name and work, became the subject of disputes, legal issues, questions about ownership and control. Bob navigated it as best he could, but it wasn't simple. The people who knew him said the kindness was real, but it wasn't naive. He'd seen hardship. He'd lived through loss. He'd spent years in a system built on control and authority. His gentle advice came from experience. When he talked about happy accidents, he meant it. He knew what it was like when things didn't go as planned. He knew what it was like to start over. And he knew that sometimes the best response was just to keep painting. Bob Ross died on July 4th, 1995. He was 52. The show had ended the year before, but the episodes kept running. Public television stations replayed them. Later, streaming platforms picked them up. New generations found him. People who'd never seen him during his original broadcasts. They found the same thing earlier viewers had found. A quiet voice, a steady hand, a half hour where nothing was demanded of them. Bob's legacy is layered. There are the techniques, the wet-on-wet method, the specific brushes, the way he taught people to paint clouds and mountains and water. There are the phrases, happy little trees, happy little accidents. This is your world. And there's the model of teaching itself, demonstration without judgment, encouragement without pressure, the idea that learning should feel safe. Educators and psychologists still reference him, not just as a painter, but as an example of how to speak to people, how to reduce fear, how to make space for mistakes. What stays with people isn't perfection. It's the permission to be imperfect, the reminder that you can try something without being good at it, that you can make something just for the sake of making it, that 30 minutes can be enough, that small things matter, that a single tree placed carefully can change everything. Bob learned to be gentle by choosing it. After 20 years of shouting, he decided to whisper. After a lifetime of pressure, he decided to teach patience. He wasn't born calm, he became calm through practice, through discipline, through the same steady repetition he used for painting mountains, one stroke at a time, one decision at a time. The work of being gentle, it turns out, is still work. If you're still listening, maybe you've found what others found. Not a lesson, not a technique, just a voice in the quiet, a reminder that you can rest, that you can try, that mistakes are only accidents and accidents can be happy. Bob understood something simple, that people need permission. Permission to begin, permission to fail, permission to try again, and sometimes permission just to sit and breathe and listen to someone speak kindly for a little while. That's all he wanted to give. It was enough.